Hi. Hey guys, it's Kaz here at Gay Cats on Camera, and today I'm doing my January wrap up. So in January I read 10 things. I read one graphic novel, one novella, and the rest were just books. First up, I actually reread Openly Straight by Bill Konigsberg. This one I read maybe like a year or two ago. I really enjoyed it, but I wanted to read the next one, so I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to reread something for once, and I really enjoyed it still. I am glad I reread it because the next one kind of jumps off straight away from where this finished, so it was a good thing. But basically this is about Rafe, who is open about being gay at home. His parents are really supportive, his school is fine, but he wants to move to a different school to kind of experience different things, and he decides that this new school he's going to, this all-boys school, he's not gonna tell them that he's gay just because he doesn't want that label to define him and for that to be, oh look, there's the gay guy. He just wanted to be Rafe. He becomes friends with this guy called Ben and they get really close, and it's kind of this thing about whether he should be honest with him, whether he should tell him about his sexuality, whether it even matters. Next I read Openly Honestly, which is the novella that links these two books together. This is set sort of in the half-term period over Christmas. Is it called half-term in America? The Christmas holidays anyway. And we see points of view from Rafe and what he's doing with his family, and we see Ben and what he's doing with his family. It does help to read this before you read Honestly Ben, which is the second book, because it does give you a little bit more background information, especially on Ben and his family life. And next up, I'm sure you're gonna know what it is. It's Honestly Ben. So where Openly Straight is told from Rafe's point of view, Honestly Ben is told from Ben's point of view. This takes place straight after they come back off the Christmas holidays, and it's him kind of trying to sort out in his head his different feelings. In Openly Straight, he does kind of sense some sort of feelings towards Rafe, but he doesn't really understand why it happened, and he's really annoyed at Rafe for not telling him that he's gay. But this story is kind of, it's about labels and whether people really need them. Obviously some people love their labels, they love that their labels define them, it makes them part of a group, it makes them part of a community. But this book kind of looks at the opposite side and whether everybody needs labels. Some people just want to be themselves and don't feel like they need to be defined by labels. But it's a really great book, it's a really great series, so I really hope people check it out because, like I say, not many people, I don't think I've seen anybody talk about this book. I saw a few people talk about Openly Straight when it came out, but I feel like nobody talks about this, and you should because it's really good. So next up, I buddy read Solitaire by Alice Oseman with McKinley. I'll leave her channel down below so you can check it out. It's kind of very Tumblr. That's not a bad thing. I enjoyed it. The main character, Tori, is kind of really sarcastic and dry, a little bit down on herself kind of thing. But I will say with this one, so basically this is about Tori, it's about her friendships and her relationship with her family, but also running through there's this theme of Solitaire, which is this sort of online presence that's making prank videos and prank posts around the school, and they kind of get worse and worse kind of thing. At first it's a little bit jokey, and then after a while it kind of gets more serious. And while I did kind of like that throughout, I thought the ending of this book really jumped the shark. It felt so out of left field from the rest of the book and how it was written. I like the characters, I really like Tori and Michael, who is this new guy that's in her school that she knows, and his sort of part and his background I really wanted to know more about because he has these angry outbursts, and I really wanted to know more about him and his mental health and what he feels and stuff like that. I felt like that sort of the part of the story wasn't delved into enough. The family aspect, Tori's brother, who is also, side note, part of the comic series Heartstopper, which I will leave a link to down below because it's free and it's really cute and lovely. But her brother in this, he has some sort of eating disorder, and I feel like it could have been portrayed a lot more. We see little glimpses of it, but I feel like that part of the story and Michael's anger and also Tori and her depression, I feel like those were the bits of the stories that I really wanted to get more out of, but I felt like it moved too much towards the solitaire part of it towards the end. I think this is definitely worth a read, and again, definitely check out Heartstopper because it's so cute and it's still being updated. So next up, I finally read I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Law. This is a book that I had on my sort of reading goals of last year. I did that New Year's resolution tag at the beginning of 2017, and this was one of the books I was going to read, and I didn't. So I was like, right, I'm doing it now, January, getting it out of the way, a year later, and I finally did. Basically, there are these alien people that all have a number, and then this other alien race is trying to kill them all. So the thing that was kind of weird about this for me was that there was a lot more romance than I thought there would be. I really didn't think there was going to be a romantic book, but there was a lot of it in here, which I was surprised at. I don't know why I was surprised at. It's a YA book, of course there's going to be loads of romance in it. But I was actually like, wow, this is a lot more than I thought. I did enjoy it. I've got the next 2 books, so I will get to the next one at some point this year. Hopefully, we can all see how good I am at this. Next, I read The Screwed Up Life of Charlie II by Drew Ferguson. This was the only thing I read this month that was kind of negative. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but it'd probably be like 2.5 because, oh my god, literally every other page it was just about sex. I'm not a prude, I don't mind that, but I'm like, come on guys, is this necessary? Like, he's jacking off every other page, every other paragraph, or he gets a boyfriend and then they're just having sex all the time. And I'm just like, just stop. I don't mind it a little bit, but, you know, I read a lot of books with boy main characters, and a lot of times they do talk about jacking off because it's a thing that boys do. But this was crazy. It was like, it was worse than Akamath, which is saying a lot because they're like in the middle of a war and there's crazy sexual things going on. But also with this, the main character, right, so I'm somebody who, I hate the word problematic because it's used way too often, and it's like used in a way that no character is allowed to have a flaw anymore because it's problematic and it means the book's not good. I really don't like that. But this guy, literally every single time he talked about a girl his age, it was always they're either slut or they're fat. And I don't mind that a little bit in a book because the way I think about it, I'm like, this book, if it's told by one person, it's just their personal things, and some people are a bit of a dick, so they might think that. So I don't mind it a little bit in books, but literally every single time he talked about somebody in his class, a girl his age, they were a slut, they were a fat, or both. And I was kind of like, really? Is that necessary? And it was annoying as well because there were some aspects of this that could have been really good if they were the bits that was explored in the book, which is why I gave it like 2.5 or 2.75 or something. Because the love interest in this, his mum had ALS, and, you know, disability rep, you don't see it very often, so I really wanted that bit to be sort of a bigger part of the story. It is a little bit through, but I felt like we could have talked about that more. And also the boyfriend was dyslexic, which was only mentioned like 2 times, but I felt like that could have been something better. And obviously it's a LGBTQ book, so I felt like there were so many aspects of this that could have been delved into a lot better rather than every other paragraph just being about him jacking off. Like literally all the time. In the worst possible places. Think about the worst place you could probably think of doing that, and it happened in here. It was a lot. Next up, I read Miss Marvel. This is volume 1, No Normal by Wilson and Alphonia. So I'd never read anything about Miss Marvel before. This is my first sort of delve into that character, and I did really enjoy it. This follows Kamala, who is a Muslim American, which is great because you don't really see very many Muslims in comics, especially not superhero comics. But it follows her, and this kind of weird thing happens and she gets these powers, these Miss Marvel powers. And I like the fact that there was a lot about the family dynamic, the friends dynamics. But yeah, I thought this was a really important story. It was nice because she only just gets the powers in the comic towards the beginning. There's a lot of kind of fumbling about with them and stuff happening at times that they shouldn't happen. So it's quite a fun read as well. But it's great to see sort of identity being delved into as well as crazy ass powers. So next I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This one is a book that everybody's read on BookTube, so I'm sure you all know what it's about. But I didn't really know that much going in. I knew there was some sort of video gaming aspects, but it was really fun. I really liked all the riddles and all the... I got some of the references. I'm not from the 80s, I don't play that many games, but I enjoyed what I did realise and recognise. For instance, there was a lot of D&D references in here, and because my family's cool, we have D&D nights every Friday. Yes, Friday nights for most people is to go out drinking, partying. For me and my siblings and my mum, it's playing board games of D&D because we're super cool. Also, the sort of the baddies in here I thought were portrayed in a decent way. They weren't too over the top, they weren't too like evil. Some stuff happened, but it didn't go beyond the realm of it seeming likely, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was really cool. Looking forward to the film. Hopefully they don't screw it up like they did The Scorched Trials. Next up, I read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Going into this, I didn't know the way it was written, I just thought it was a normal book. But I really like the way it's written. It's told by different people. It's told by Natasha, who is an illegal immigrant who has only got one day until she's forcibly removed from America. And it also tells the point of view from Daniel, who is a Korean American who is trying to figure out what he wants to do in his life and whether he wants to go to university or whether he wants to pursue other things. But I also really liked the way that they would randomly put a little background infos from other people as well. So for example, when Natasha goes to this office because she's meeting somebody to talk about whether she can try and stay in America, there's a receptionist and she seems a little bit weird, and then the next bit of the story is told by her point of view, just a couple of pages of her background, and I really enjoyed that. I like the fact that we get a little bit more into the other characters, the background characters, even people that we see like 1 or 2 times. I thought that was a really nice touch. And last but not least, I read Call Me By Your Name by Andrea Ackerman. I didn't even watch the trailer before I read the book, so I didn't have any clue of what was going on. The only thing I knew was I saw loads of people all the time just mentioning the peach scene, so I knew at some point there was going to be a scene with a peach. I had no idea what it was going to be. When I got there, it was definitely not what I thought it was. So this is a story told by Elio, who is a 17-year-old at home. It's the summer holidays, and this American guy, Oliver, has come to stay because he's working on his book and translating it into Italian. So the basis of this book is Elio pining over Oliver and whether he feels the same way. I thought it was really flowery and really sort of over the top in how Elio feels, but he was a teenager, it's from his point of view. He does kind of sit from afar pining after him for a long time. So in that way, I feel like I potentially might enjoy the film more just because it's going to show me the important stuff rather than just being in Elio's head and getting really wordy and fancy over how he feels. I enjoyed it, but it was a bit much. This is not for the faint-hearted, because there are, I mean, when people say the peach scene, it is a sexual scene, so there is quite graphic things in here. So there we have it, that's everything I read in January. Let's pretend I've got 2 Kindles there to show all 10 books. I thought it was a pretty decent reading month. There was nothing that I absolutely fell in love with and loved, but honestly 5 stars for me is really hard to acquire, so I didn't expect to read something that was amazing. But also I didn't read anything that was really terrible. Obviously there was one book that was a little bit like, chill out with all your sexualness and all of your hatred towards women, but I didn't like hate it, so I feel like that was a decent reading month. So tell me down below what you read in January, or if you've read any of these books, then tell me what you thought of them. If this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, please check out some of my others, and if you continue to enjoy them, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I will see you in a few days with another video. Bye. Hi, what's the matter? Why don't you come here? Oh, you're so mardy, aren't you?